I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost is with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about a story that I find to be very unfortunate and very puzzling. But Melania Trump, who was, of course, the wife of former President Donald Trump, who is running for president again, and we are so close to the election, is coming out with a memoir. And the memoir, she talks about how she's pro-choice and believes in a woman's fundamental right to choose, and it shouldn't be obstructed by the government. So the book is not out yet, so people get previews or snippets or whatever. So the big question is, why, even if she wanted to write about this and that let that be her position and these are her real thoughts and everything, I don't understand why you would drop it so close to the election, because I don't imagine that many Democrats are very pro Melania, and her coming out with her book is going to be the thing that really pushes them over the edge and be like, you know what, I can trust Donald Trump with my reproductive freedom. I don't think that's going to be the thing. If anything, it's going to disparage conservatives, pro-life people, Christians, and I've already gotten notifications and calls from folks who are like, this is making me really not want to vote for them. Someone actually said that they don't plan to, and they feel so politically homeless. So I just really urge the Trump campaign to and I have been urging them a long while, to try to just gain some true perspective on this, because at this point they're just reaching too far on the other side, and demoralizing their own base. Also, there was something I wanted to show you guys yesterday, but I didn't have enough time, about how the media is just so gung-ho on protecting Kamala Harris. And so on one hand, you have like Trump and his folks who are kind of screwing up here, but on the other hand, you have all these lovers of power that are so gung-ho on stopping Trump and don't have any objective perception on anything, because they just want to stop him, that it makes it so dangerous for Kamala Harris to win. So we're not in a great position, I don't think, but I'll let you know all sides of the issues, at least try to just tell you what's going on and be fair. Well, I obviously have my own biases, but trying to give you some good analysis along the way. But before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go to blacktenews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the web, because it does cost us to my website. Guys, if you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. Watching on YouTube, you guys can also send super chats. If you're watching later after this is live, which I appreciate all of you who watch the show live, and those of you who watch it back later, you guys can send super thanks and other stuff like that. So I see you. So Sail to Soul is in the chat. Happy afternoon. Hope you guys again who watching live are having a good day. I'm having a better day. Yesterday was kind of a rough day emotionally, about my mom and stuff, but I'm having a better day. So day by day comes and goes, and I thank you guys for viewing. Please also check out different merch that's available at blacktnews.com, like this cool I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For a t-shirt. That's one of people's faves. I also have of course my black tea mug here that you guys can check out. I still don't have the little teacups, but I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe one day. But please check out other stuff like it's fall. So we got the pumpkin spice season mugs that you guys can get and maybe buy it for someone who does not like Trump and just watch their face explode. But and then take it for yourself because you don't want them to like destroy the mug, I guess. But check all that stuff out. The Sunday of the election that week, I will be in Ann Arbor for a book fair, and it's a let me see, it's in it was Carytown Book Fest. I think it's a little different now. Let me look it up real quick. But I'm having a 2-hour block. I'm not a vendor, but they have like a it's just called KT Book Fest is the website where you can check out more about it. So I'm gonna have like the first slate. I'll be in the first slate of like the author signings. So if you're in the Ann Arbor area, I'll have a book signing that day and that weekend. So it's that Sunday. And then, of course, Tuesday will be the election if you hadn't already voted by then. And then on that Friday, then that Saturday, that Sunday, I'll be in Novi for Motor City Comic Con. So I have an insanely busy week that week and it'll be a lot of fun. Just got to make sure I got enough stock, man, of my stuff for the whole weekend. But hopefully I'll see some of you guys out that weekend. And I would like to have another book signing that it'll still be in Michigan. Um but before the end of the year that's separate from those other two events. And I'll try to work that out and get some more details for you guys before the end of the year. So I think that's all my little announcements for now. So let's just get to the stories of the day. So, I want to start off by showing you guys what I didn't have time to go through yesterday. And we went a little bit over, and I said I would show you guys something. It's with Jim Acosta. Oh, Jim Acosta. I kind of thought that he wasn't going to survive when they were just firing a couple people from CNN when they got rid of like Brian Stelter, for example. But they even brought back Brian. So I guess maybe Acosta would have came back even if they got rid of him. I don't know. But they had Corey Lewandowski on, and he was talking about the criminals who are in our country, and they just focused on the dumbest thing. And I'll have to just show it to you. It's not unbelievable because these people keep doing crazy stuff. So we shouldn't be surprised. By the way, speaking of surprise, and this is a shame on me. This is a shame on me situation. At the debate, when they were talking about school shootings, Tim Walz mentioned that his son witnessed a school shooting. And I just took that at face value. But apparently he heard it. Like, I don't think he said he saw a school shooting. I think he just said he saw witnessed a shooting, and it happened outside, and Tim Walz's son was inside, so he heard it. At least maybe heard it, because he was inside the recreational place, and there was two guys going at it, and one shot somebody in the parking lot. And it's scary when you hear gunshots if you can recognize gunshots and you're familiar with it, but I thought, like, I don't know what I thought, but I just didn't question it. And I'm like, shame on me for just taking that at face value when this man talks. I'm like, no, they'll just say anything, absolutely anything, to gain some kind of sympathy and so on. So I'm like, you tell a lie and you believe it's like shame on them, and then you start believing the stuff, and it's a shame on you. So I didn't think too deeply about it, but I was just like, I can't believe I just didn't question it. Okay, so here's the video with Corey Lewandowski and Jim Acosta, and it's short, But it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
You know what I can say, Jim? I can say that 13,099 murderers were let into this country, 16,000 rapists, 425,000 people in the last 4 years have been let into this country by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's own Customs and Border Protection that are running around this country, Jim.
The other thing, too, it's Kamala Harris. I don't know. Why do you guys say Kamala? That is, it's Kamala Harris.
Jim, we know that they're committing crimes against Americans. Why can't these individuals talk about the individuals who've been killed by illegal immigrants? 13,099 murderers have been let into this country by this administration's own accounting, and you guys don't want to talk about it. You know what I can say, Jim?
Yeah, they obviously don't want to talk about it to the point where they're like, why do you keep saying her name wrong? First of all, I can understand people being annoyed if people say your name wrong. She's probably very used to it. People will look me dead in my eye. People who know me, have known me for years, look me dead in my eye and call me Christine. And I don't mean like people I just maybe see in passing every a couple years or whatever. I mean people who know me, not like close family, whatever, but people who know me enough to know that my name is Christina, have read it, seen it on name tags, in the emails, in their phone. I would like to assume is correctly spelled, but they're so used to saying Christine for some reason. They've heard other people address me by Christina, and they still say it. Now, I think that's far more strange than Kamala versus Kamala. But I didn't know it was Kamala and not Kamala until really this year, because a lot of people have been saying it like Kamala. Yeah, I think Kamala is what I've been saying for years. And that's what a lot of people have been saying it. So people trying to pretend like it's uber racist or disrespectful because people are saying her name wrong. People are used to saying it wrong. You know, it's hard to kind of break out of that stuff. But people didn't raise such a big stink about when people would say Vivek's name wrong. You know, it's just, he's telling you about how people have come over into the United States illegally, and many of them convicted criminals and rapists, murderers, and so on, thieves, etc., that are roaming our streets, that are abusing our people, that are robbing our homes and our stores, etc. And Jim's just like, why do you keep saying Kamala Harris's name wrong? And I just said it wrong there. I didn't mean to. It's just out of habit. That was one of the lamest misdirects. Try to misdirect and get off topic and pivot. Pivot's the right word. That was the lamest pivot I ever have seen, probably. And Corey, you know, God bless him for just staying on topic and not even addressing the nonsense. But Jim Acosta is so foolish. It's disgusting that he's got promoted at CNN and is doing all this stuff. Their crew is just insane. Their crew is just insane. So, just yikes. Just big yikes. With CNN, the clown show. It's like you shouldn't take them seriously as a news network, but is there any of these news networks that they can take seriously at all? Is there any one of them? I just was in awe when I saw that, and I needed to share with you guys, and I knew it would take longer than 2 seconds, so I had to table it for today. I hope it was worth the wait to see the ridiculousness of Jim Acosta. I wonder if his profile is still a picture of himself. I mean, not his profile picture, but his banner too. Let me see. Because there's like 3 gems. Nope, he changed it. It's like a mug with a dog or something. So maybe he got mocked so many times. Do you guys remember when people were saying Dear Diary when they were talking about Jim Acosta? Apparently he didn't like that, so people started like doing it more and more and more. But to me, that was funny that that was like getting under his skin. Anyway, let's talk about the Melania stuff. Melania has released a book. I think it's going to be released maybe next week. And in the book, she talks about how she's pro-choice. And they released a little snippet, like a trailer, because I'm like, the Guardian did a story on it, because before people release their memoirs, there's usually like a a preview that they give to people so they can report on it, especially when it's a political figure or something. So I was hoping honestly that it was some kind of misreporting or some kind of smear. I was hoping that it wasn't true. But she put out a little promo video where she's talking about it, and I don't understand. I already like put this out on there on social media. I'm like, I don't understand the wisdom of this. There's no wisdom in it. And I don't know if it's just because they expect that there's maybe this is just how she feels, and she wanted it in the memoir. Some people are just saying, oh well, Laura Bush and Barbara Bush and them, like other first ladies, have been pro-choice. Yeah, but when Laura, for example, said something about it, I remember that being after Bush's presidency, and him not being like up for re-election, and it was still a shock and disappointing to hear her say that too. So this is in the midst of Donald Trump literally facing re-election. Well, not trying to be elected once again. And this comes out. Now he's been doing his darndest to appeal to the pro-choice crowd because he sees abortion as, a killer issue for Republicans and stuff. And he's at this point, I don't know how many people they can reach out and still get on that side. I don't know. But I don't see Melania being able to persuade those couple more voters to support Trump after everything now, because she's putting out a book talking about all these really illogical talking points in support of abortion. Now, this sort of stuff will have a more likely effect to suppress his voter turnout, I would say. That's the more likely scenario. And I found out about all this last night because a friend of mine sent me a text of a tweet about it, and we were texting back and forth, and then we called and had a conversation, and they were upset about this and like thinking about not voting, not for Trump anyway, not for Kamala, but in good conscience, just not being able to do it. And I understand people feeling like that. And I don't want people to have to feel like that. And so many people are upset about the way that the Republican Party is going and how Trump has been running to not just the center but to the left, I would say. And it's funny because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they're as left as you can get, but they obviously had to pivot, and they're trying to make themselves more centrist and more moderate. And Trump is, running, and has been to the left. And I believe at this point in time, it would have been good to have a good contrast between their crazy and real true conservative values and stuff. But that's not what we're getting. And there's people who are like throwing out, on a limb saying like, okay, well, I just need, some assurances here, or I believe that maybe he's just saying stuff to get elected, but at the end of the day, he'll do the right thing. I have many people who have said that to me. And Trump, the other day after the debate, he put out a all caps tweet. We read it yesterday, saying that he would in fact veto an abortion ban if it came across his desk. And that's discouraging because I was hoping that him not answering that question at the debate meant that he would sign it. Now he maybe still would sign it, but that's what he was writing in all caps. Now people might say that Melania having this opinion on abortion doesn't affect that what will Trump will do or whatever, but I don't know. I think people who are close to you will sway and persuade you, and people who are around you, their values are probably similar to yours in some kind of regard. So I don't think this is a small you know matter. Now some people are saying she's not sabotaging him or anything, but this is just how he feels, and this is just kind of coming to light, more obviously now. And it's just not good. It's just not good. And I know there's people who don't appreciate me pointing all this stuff out, but they're the ones who are putting out the book. They're the ones who are writing posts in all caps. And people are still making their calls, people are still making their text messages, people are still going on X and other platforms and talking about how, they're upset. And we can't just make that truth go away. So anyway, let me play this little snippet because again, I was hoping, I'm like, maybe this isn't true. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe people got this wrong, but it's a short video, but it's her video nonetheless.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth: individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
So you can say, well, she didn't say much of anything. Someone in the comments of someone who posted this video, I think it was Ali Stuckey, had retweeted it, and someone was like, play her whole video. I'm like, that was her video. Like, someone did not like clip that to make her look bad. That's her video that she posted. And you can say, well, that's pretty vague, but well, let me go through what the Guardian reported about it. And again, this does not make me happy. And I wish I would rather just rag on, Kamala. I think I said it right that time. I would just so rather do that. I would so rather just do that. But this news is news. And this is in October. We're so close to the election. Why not just, I don't know, wait till November the 6th and have her book come out? Why not have it come out after the inauguration? I don't understand this logic. Like, and Trump retweeted, I think he retweeted it, his wife's book. So was this something that she just wanted to do, her team wanted to do? Or was it something that the campaign put their heads together and said, yep, this will be great, we're going to drop this right before the election? I don't understand this. Okay, Melania Trump passionately defends abortion rights in upcoming memoir. Melania Trump made an extraordinary declaration in an eagerly awaited memoir to be published a month from the election day. She is a passionate supporter of a woman's right to control her own body, including the right to an abortion. It is imperative to guarantee that women have the autonomy in deciding their preference of having children based on their own convictions, free from any intervention or pressure from the government, the Republican nominee's wife writes amid a campaign in which Donald Trump's threats to women's reproductive rights have played a central role. Why should anyone other than the woman herself have the power to determine what she does with her own body? A woman's fundamental right of individual liberty to her own life grants her the authority to determine her pregnancy if she wishes. Restricting a woman's right to choose whether to terminate an unwanted pregnancy is the same as denying her control over her own body. I have carried this belief with me throughout my entire adult life. So this is insane to me. The easiest way to kind of break down my view on abortion is that if both can live, both should live. But she's not even saying here that it's a matter of, you know, um, Trump will say rape, incest, life of the mother, so which all pro-life people who say, there's some people who say no exceptions. They don't mean that women should die if there's a circumstance when, there's some kind of medical emergency, but their view is you would just try to preserve life, and if preserving that life means you inducing the child can't survive, they don't see that the same thing as an abortion. Now, I think it's just easier to just say, hey, grant the exception of life of the mother, because that rarely happens anyway. And it just seems like a headache to try to explain the premise, and people just see it as like, oh, you're a monster, you want the woman to die. That's not what they're saying, but it's just easier to just grant the premise. Okay, life of the mother. And there's people who are pro-life who believe in causal obligation and will grant the rape exception too. But she's saying just you should be able to abort if it's an unwanted pregnancy. And you made an oopsie, I've had people defend abortion if it's like a one night stand and stuff. So just unwantedness means you got the right to unalive the children. This opinion that she has here and is espousing, which is like typical pro-choice rhetoric of like dumb young women that are on TikTok lives every day. And it's the woman's right. It's her body. It's not her body though. There's another body. There's a body inside of her body. That's the whole contention there. And this is a special right that no one else has to decide to kill their child. Pregnancy is a natural biological process. You're carrying your baby, you're going to birth your baby one way or another. Abortion doesn't stop that. It forces the birth earlier. Really, it's just to a dead baby. You're already donating resources to the child. No one is forcing you to carry the baby. No one's force you to make the baby. That is all happening because of actions that were taken. You had procreation, someone was procreated, and now this biological thing is happening. It's not a matter really of consent. It's one way or another. Even if you don't consent, the baby doesn't magically go away. It's the baby is here, and the only way it's coming out of you is dead or alive. Dead or alive. The pro-life position would be, we want the natural thing to happen. But the pro-choice position would be, yeah, I don't want it to leave me alive. Therefore, I want the special right to unalive them. So they are the one introducing an action of force. It's not the government forcing something to happen when they say, we need a ban. They're trying to stop violence from occurring. So this is just a really silly position that is just so narrative driven, and not. She seems like a really intelligent woman, I would say. This is not an intelligent position. It's just typical pro-choice propaganda garbage. There's obviously another body inside of your body. Again, it's a special right that no one else has. And just out of pure wantedness, man. Melania has rarely expressed political views in public. Her book, Melania, which reveals the former first lady to be so firmly out of step with with most of her own party, will be published in the US next Tuesday. I guess it'll sell some copies, man. The Guardian obtained a copy. Her decision to include a full-throated expression of support for abortion rights is remarkable, not just given her proximity to the Republican candidate running on an anti-abortion platform, but also given the severe deterioration of women's reproductive rights under Donald Trump and the GOP. In 2022, in the Supreme Court case Dobbs v. Jackson, 3 justices installed, blah, blah, blah. We know what happened. They mentioned IVF. Trying to see if there's another quote. Occasional political disagreements between me and my husband, she writes, part of our relationship, but I believed in addressing them privately rather than publicly challenging him. That's respectful. I have always believed it is crucial for people to take care of themselves first. Melania Trump writes, it's a very straightforward concept. In fact, we are all born with a set of fundamental rights, including the right to enjoy our lives. We are all entitled to maintain a gratifying and dignified existence. This common sense approach applies to women's natural right to make decisions about her own body and health. But what we do actually have a natural or inalienable right to would be the right to life. And our lives do not begin at birth. And if she's saying that women have, or human beings, I guess, have these fundamental rights, of autonomy and stuff after they are born, that does signify that she would be okay and support abortion up until the moment of birth. If we're talking about the logic behind her stance here. And that is a position that Donald Trump is pointing to Kamala Harris and the Democrats and saying that that is radical, really radical. And, trying to point the finger there and be like, they're the radical, they're the extremists, they're the monsters. Okay, but what about Melania? Like, and all these people who've been, online talking about how awful the Democrats' positions are, how radical these positions are. Are they commentating today about Melania's stance here? Now, again, Melania, not Donald Trump, and she said that they have disagreements, that she mostly keeps them private. Why is this not private right now? Why is this not private right now? And why is it coming out next Tuesday, right before the election? I I need someone to explain this logic to me. I don't see the logic in it other than, her team doesn't want him to win or something. Because this is not smart. This is not wise at all. Trump says her beliefs about abortion rights spring from a core set of principles. What? Not life, man. At the heart of which is individual liberty and personal freedom, on which there's no room for negotiation. That's so silly, because if you don't have rights unless you are wanted, do you as an individual possess fundamental rights, unalienable rights, if they have to be granted based off of the whims of a woman, if she wants you? If we don't have a fundamental right to life, we don't have other rights. We're just negotiating. And she says it's not negotiable, but we are negotiating this. It's all dependent upon someone else. So if I'm not a person with rights until after I pass the birth canal, then what am I? What am I at that point? So none of this makes sense unless you don't see the baby as a person. And then the question is, what is a person? Is it property or something like that? And if they're not human beings that deserve some kind of justice and some kind of right to life, then that starts overstepping the bounds of abortion, and it starts going to the realm of, well, we can't see them as persons at all. So what happens if a drunk driver, hits a pregnant woman and the baby dies? Or what happens in the case with like Alabama and the embryos that were dropped by some random person in the clinic, and the court was like, yeah, the parents can sue the clinic because the clinic should have been securing them and watching them and so on. And everybody lost their flipping mind because they didn't want somehow these embryos to be recognized as children. And I'm like, what is your whole business? Is it your business not to create children? That's what you did. You created living human offsprings for these families. And now you don't want to face any kind of accountability because you allowed someone to come into your room that was not secure and drop them. And then people are like, oh, we got to save IVF. I'm like, we got to ask questions. We need more questions asked if these people think that they should be able to get away with stuff like that. But Trump just went the full, like, we got to protect IVF instead of explaining that case. So we are just getting more to the point in the world where our children are just commodities for the egos of adults with surrogacy and IVF and all this stuff. I briefly mentioned the IVF stuff in the news because Democrats were mad because Republicans wouldn't jump onto their IVF stuff, which I didn't like Ted Cruz's IVF bill. But Ted Cruz's IVF bill was, if states ban IVF, we're going to basically stop your federal funding. But they didn't try to regulate what a state could do as far as their IVF policies. The Democrats wanted to make it basically making it a right that parents can create, discard, their children, donate them to science and freeze them and do all kinds of whatever for the sake of whatever the heck that they want. That it's just further establishing that your children, are more like property and not really humans, and that you have a right to them and they don't have rights themselves. And parents have obligations to their children. It's inherent to the parent child relationships. Your child doesn't come into this world, doesn't come into existence without needing their mother and getting aid from their mother. And women don't have like a magical power to unalive the children. They have to take steps to make that happen. And there's no reason why our society should comply with saying, oh yeah, they can be killed. That is a decision that we get to make, apparently. And I really don't think it should be up to the states anyway. But the more videos I see and more I talk to people about this issue and hear debates, people are so lost and ignorant. And it's scary to think that basically we're all voting on whether people should be executed, and folks have been brainwashed into thinking the human beings are just globs of goo and literally parasites. They'll say it's literally the definition of a parasite, and it's literally not the definition of a parasite. And it's just ignorance on top of ignorance on top of ignorance. And those are the people going to the voting booth for these referendums. I'm like, that should not be up for like mob rule on whether you're gonna allow it's not a lynching, but we'll just go with that, detailing legitimate reasons for a woman to choose to have an abortion. She includes danger of the life of the mother, rape, or incest, often exceptions such as bans, also congenital birth defects, plus severe medical conditions, saying timing matters. Melania Trump also defends the right of abortion in later pregnancy. She writes, it is important to note that historically most abortions conducted during this time and later stages of pregnancy were the result of severe fetal abnormalities that probably would have led to the death of the stillborn or the child, perhaps even the death of the mother. These cases were extremely rare and typically occurred after several consultations between women and her doctor. As a community, we should embrace these common sense standards. Again, timing matters. This is not true. This is not true. I don't know if she's ignorant and her ghostwriter is ignorant or a liar, but it's not true. It's not true. It's easy to find that this is not true. There's peer reviewed studies about this. There have been articles about this. Abortion doctors, like there was a profile in the Atlantic about abortion doctor Warren Hearn. He says when people go to his clinics and stuff, like there are sad stories where there are women who basically euthanize their children and feel like they're doing what's best, but there are women who don't have those kinds of stories. There's been viral videos of people calling abortion clinics to get appointments, and they do not ask about their sappy stories. They're just like, okay, can you come in? And they'll hit like 28, 30 weeks by the time they would get the appointment. And by the way, I don't think that's probably going to remain legal. Being able to just call the clinics like that and ask to make appointments and you're not really pregnant. I think Kamala Harris if those continue to be viral videos informing the public about how late those abortions will go, I think eventually there will be a Democrat who will introduce that to make that illegal and to fine people crazy money. Like you can't like call 911 or something without, getting in trouble if it's a prank or something. I think that'll be on the table where, they will be able to get you and fine you, maybe put you in jail if you for making false appointments at abortion clinic, and Kamala would sign that. That's just my suspicion. That's my suspicion. So people who are doing that, Godspeed. I appreciate you informing the public, but I would just be careful. And I think that that's not going to last too long because they have to lie through their teeth to keep promoting this stuff. But women, the data actually shows, and Secular Pro-Life has written a lot about this, done a lot of videos on this. Secular Pro-Life, by the way, that's a group of atheists who run that website. Usually women who have abortions later, they have them for the same reasons that people might have them earlier. Maybe they didn't get the money to the abortion until later. Maybe they didn't find that they were pregnant until later. Maybe they broke up with their boyfriend. Just different life statuses change, and they want to be able to get the abortion later. Like I know someone who got it maybe at 19 weeks, and she just had trouble deciding, didn't want to tell her mom, didn't tell her till really late. And ultimately she decided to have the abortion because she wanted, in her words, a blank slate. And what she had was a very traumatic abortion, and now realizes that she, killed her baby and felt, guilt about it and had like PTSD from her experience. So, but the point is that wasn't like, a fetal abnormality or something like that. And sometimes when people have fetal abnormalities, it could just be the child has Down syndrome, or maybe they have a deformed foot or something. It's not always, my child's not going to have a brain, or it's not always like that. And some of this stuff is wrong. I've had so many conversations with people who would not be alive if their parents had listened to the doctor when the doctors were trying to pressure them to abort, because they swore up and down that there was going to be something wrong with the baby, or the baby wouldn't live very long, and so on. And they came out absolutely healthy. And I don't want to pretend like there aren't scenarios where parents actually go through the pregnancy and they have a child and they don't live very long. But so I want to put it out there, but there are instances when absolutely the doctors get it wrong. So Melania is just wrong with this stuff. And I don't think she wrote her whole book. I'm sure she had a ghostwriter, but this information is just false. It's just pro-choice nonsense. And they're like, more than 90% of abortions occur before 13 weeks. By the way, all those abortions are still evil too. I don't like the obsession with late-term abortions, but I just posted something on it was a post from Secular Pro-Life where they're like, because someone was saying, well, the abortions, it's only like 1% that are late term. And like, what's 1% of a million? It's 10,000, right? So people were willing to burn down different cities because of unarmed Black men getting shot by police. And that number was like 20. And we're talking about 10,000 babies. And this is not all like the baby will die, the mother will die situations if they don't abort. Many of them are still about lifestyle changes. And it's sad, but it's true. I just don't understand this. And they go on, to quote other people. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this. It is what it is, I guess. I don't understand, guys. I don't understand. I don't understand in the least bit. And if they thought this was a good move, I don't see how this wins him any extra votes. But I've already seen it it's making him have less votes. So, and Trump, he kept saying, follow your heart. You got to follow your heart. You got to follow your heart when it comes to like the abortion issue. And people will do that. And unfortunately for him, following folks' heart is also going to include them not voting for him. Ali Stuckey is extremely pro-life, and so she's still saying, stuff like, you know, the border is enough reason to vote for Trump. Now, there's plenty of reasons to still vote for Trump over Kamala Harris, for sure, for sure. But there's major concerns also about how, basically, if they have this extreme position on abortion, with Trump and folks around him, will that ultimately kill the movement? And how much damage that will ultimately do for a lot of different, I guess, conservative things, but particularly this issue. Now, Kamala Harris is absolutely worse. I think there's some the things that they're proposing, not in some kind of fantasy world, the things that they're actually proposing, getting rid of the filibuster, putting the term limits on the Supreme Court and packing the court, making DC a state, and so they'll get more electoral votes. This wide open border stuff, amnesty, making all these people basically citizens and stuff. That'll change not just the voting structure of the country or the voting base of the country, but so much about the culture of the nation as a whole. She's got a thing for putting political opponents in jail. She went after David Daleiden for exposing Planned Parenthood for selling baby body parts. The Biden Harris administration has locked up pro-lifers. There's a lot of Gen 6 people who were locked up very quickly, while there's folks, who do a serious crime and are still out in the streets and stuff. There's a lot of George Soros funded, or his children, who are funding a lot of these DAs and folks and putting them into different positions of power, and they'll let, serious criminals out in the street and want to give them all this leniency, while, they'll be harsh to political opponents and stuff. So a lot of the stuff with Trump's trials are silly, like Alvin Bragg, and how they are willing to weaponize the law and the local justice and federal justice to take out their enemies. There's so many things to be concerned about if she takes the win. And my great sadness is that Trump isn't, kind of rising to the level that we need him to rise to. But the fact of the matter is, there's other people on the ballot, but it's either going to be Kamala or it's going to be Trump. And when I was at, for those of you who don't know, my sister works for the RNC. She's like the head of the urban engagement and stuff. And not the day after my mom's funeral, but I think that 2 days after it, there was an event that she had, and with some different evangelical Christians and stuff, and Mike Rogers was there, and folks are talking about, the election and so on. There's a lot of media there, and I was interviewed by CNN and the Detroit News and a student journalist out of California, who was there for some kind of project, and there were other students there too, but she was the only student who interviewed me. And so I had said, if you want to know the most important thing about this election, when you look at the candidates, Donald Trump will tell the truth about Kamala, and Kamala Harris relies on lying about Trump. They keep talking about Project 2025 Trump will do this because Project 2025, this, etc. And I'm like, Trump didn't read that. They didn't read that. Most people didn't read that. And I talked to you guys yesterday. I showed you a video of CNN fact checking Tim Walz, because Tim Walz claimed that Project 2025 and Donald Trump were going to create a registry of pregnant women. And the fact checker was like, Project 2025 doesn't even say that. So not only are they lying about Trump, they're lying about what's actually in Project 2025. So that's how they are choosing to attack Trump. And Trump just says, hey, she said she wanted to ban fracking. She said she wanted to do mandatory buybacks on guns. She said she wanted to get rid of private healthcare insurance. So Trump is bold enough to tell the truth about her while she has to lie about Trump. Now, I think there's plenty of things that you could say about Trump to make a case to not vote for him, not over really Kamala Harris, but to me, it would make more sense to just talk about Trump's pro-choice positions and how close they are really on the issue to convince voters to not, his own base to not vote for him, rather than lying about a registry of pregnant women, just silly stuff like that. To me, that would make more sense than just making up the lies. And I know there's people who believe the lies, but if you're willing to believe those lies, were you ever going to vote for him in the first place? So she's got a lie on him, and he can just tell the truth about her. So I can tell you all day long that he's a better candidate for president than Kamala Harris, especially because we've already experienced a Trump presidency. But people are deeply concerned about rewarding basically bad behavior. And what's going to happen long term to the culture if basically our option are two Democrats running, because he is really kind of to the left of, like, if you teleported Clinton from the 90s, Trump would be to the left of him. So at least how he's running right now, and when I was in the room with the other evangelicals, and everybody went around and introduced themselves and stuff, and I let them know, I said, there's a lot of stuff I'm not happy about. And I preferred our 2016 platform. I don't care for the platform too much here now. And I can go into detail because we only had like 2 minutes to really talk. And but I did say that Kamala Harris still was like my least favorite Democrat who ran in 2020, because I always saw her as the most insincere person, and she never alleviated that opinion. She only did things to secure that, and I told them all the thing I told the media and what I told you guys about how she has to rely on lies and Donald Trump can just tell the truth about her. So at the end of the day, though, I totally understand people who don't want to check the box, and I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. At the end of the day, Trump said, follow your heart, and people are going to do that. So again, I don't understand this. I don't understand. I haven't understood a lot of things that have been going on, but this is just bizarre. This is just bizarre to me. So another thing that came out that's not great is that Jack Smith was able to get a judge to sign off on releasing some information on Trump and his indictments and stuff. And it's some not great stuff in there, but we don't really have time to go through it. And I don't think a lot of the stuff is even new if you were really paying attention. I think there's a lot of stuff that a lot of Trump folks probably didn't pay attention to in the past. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's gonna move a dent on people who've already decided to vote for Trump. But something that is interesting is that MSNBC invited someone on their show who was against Trump and like pro like impeachment stuff. He was an impeachment witness, but at the end of the day, he still decided to say that he was going to be pro Trump and vote for Trump because they didn't really let him get into his reasons too much, but Let me play this clip for you guys. I'm gonna share my screen again.
A no for you after that. Why was it important for you to say no more Trump because of his January 6th conduct? And do you stand by that?
No, I don't stand by it. And I'll tell you why. I've now lived 4 years under the Biden-Harris policies. And I have to say that those policies are not only becoming an existential threat to our country's way of life, but to our allies as well.
So when you,
and it has to.
No, so Ambassador, I'll let you finish, but this is so striking. You said it was a no for me after that, after January 6th.
I did.
And here we are right now.
I did.
And you're saying it's a yes for you.
It is a yes for me. It is an absolute yes for me. That is how badly the Biden-Harris team have prosecuted their job.
But the whole point you seem to be making was that January 6th and that kind of attack on democracy is bigger than any policy.
I am seeing so many attacks on democracy that eclipse January 6th.
So I want to ask Sarah,
if you want to ask me what those are, I'm happy.
He said, if you want to ask me what they are, I can substantiate my argument. But yeah, he probably didn't expect that conversation to go that way. And JD Vance, I mentioned at the debate when they brought up January 6th, he tried to pivot the conversation into saying like, what's the real threat to democracy is how, Kamala Harris wants to stifle free speech and the First Amendment and all that stuff. And that's also true. There's a lot of things at risk here with Kamala Harris and the Democrats, especially if she wins and has both the House and the Senate. That would be extraordinarily bad. If she's going to win, like if you are at this point thinking that you cannot vote for Donald Trump, you got to at least think about trying to save the House and the Senate, because if she comes in and she does not have a divided government and she can just basically pass whatever the heck she wants to pass and they start getting rid of the filibuster and they can do everything just by the majority, they're going to fundamentally damage the country in a way that is going to be very difficult, if at all possible, to recover. I'm not going to say that we'll never have an election again. It's the end of everything, like some people are out here trying to do and scare folks into. But the first domino does start somewhere, the first domino that starts to fall. So she's going to do astronomical damage. And again, it is a shame that I wish I could be all like uber super excited and donning a MAGA hat and all that stuff, but you guys know I've been upset about a lot of things as of late, and I can't just pretend that I'm not, for clicks and for views, and I just can't. But I can just I can tell you the reality is that Kamala Harris is really bad. She is really bad. But I get it if you that saying of people like, I would walk through broken glass or something to vote for Trump, how people will say that, because they're so, pumped to do that in the past. There's people who feel like if they did have to vote for Trump, it would feel like walking over broken glass. Maybe they'll still do it, but there's some pain there. And I wish it didn't feel that way for people. Like, my heart is broken for the conversations that I'm having with folks who are so upset over things that after stances and stuff that they're deciding to take. I hate it. I hate it. But the election's not far off, and people got to make whatever decisions they're going to make. So anyway, I think we are basically at our hour. So they are reporting on some of the stuff that Jack Smith reported, like it's on in the mainstream news about things he said and the lead up in January 6th and the elector plans and so on. And some of this stuff is not new. I think it's probably new to some Trump people who never kind of looked at it. And I don't think for reasons that was just laid out on MSNBC, people still will see Kamala Harris as the bigger threat to democracy. So, and the bigger threat to our country. And he said it eclipses January 6th. And this was a witness against Donald Trump for January 6th. So, that's pretty remarkable. And it's funny because, again, I don't think MSNBC probably predicted it would go like that. So, yes, Kamala Harris is worse. Yes, Kamala Harris is worse. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I didn't even when I talked about all the drama, like with Kamala Harris and all the threats, I didn't even mention the foreign policy. Foreign policy is like the number one reason between the two of them, because you could say the border, but Trump will remain in Mexico, and that will help. I don't think they'll deport people, but they're not gonna deport the numbers that they probably should deport. And Trump has danced with the idea of amnesty before. Now, maybe he was placating to people then, and he'll be a lame duck. So, you don't know how a lame duck president is exactly going to act, because there's nothing, that's stopping him from being, he doesn't have to worry about being reelected. He can't be reelected. So it'll be interesting to see how he decides to govern and what he will pass or do, etc. But we at least know to some regard how he governed before as president. So Kamala Harris is just, asking to march right off of a cliff. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Please go back to news.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website, because it does cost to stream and run my site, all the good stuff, so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out my merchandise, like this cool black tea mug that I got, available, so you guys can check out that. You guys can also check out some of my books that I have available. I have some of my posters behind me and some up on the wall here. And but I have 18 that are published all together. So go ahead and check out my stuff. I have nonfiction. Most of my books are fiction, though. I have 2 nonfiction books, and one of them is Slay Your Fear, and the other one is, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion, that I wish Melania would have read. And people found it like really sad, because Melania is a Catholic convert, and abortion is so anti-Catholic. It's so anti-Catholic. And by the way, there's a long history. I'm talking about first century abortion being bad in as far as the Christian culture and stuff. So, and seeing it as murder, first century, you can go back that far back. So, people are just really upset about it. But anyway, she and Trump should both read my book and get corrected on a lot of that misinformation that they're putting out there. So please check out my stuff and go to the website. Make sure you guys are signing up for different emails. I mean, on the email list. I do not send a lot of emails, so you will not be bombarded. Truth be told, I need to send some more. But thank you guys again for everything, for watching me live. And I know it's not like a fun day. I like to laugh with you guys and stuff. And I guess we maybe got a little giggles at the beginning, but today is just one of those days where it just sucks. It's like, unfortunately, let me report this news, and I just wish what I had to talk about today wasn't the case. And I don't know what this will do to the base. And there's other comments that Trump made that made me so upset. I read today about how people are getting mailers with comments that Trump made about heartbeat bills, in Florida, and they're trying to defeat Amendment 4. And I'm not surprised that that's the case. Because I said that would happen. So he's just, we need a cultural leader to really help guide with this issue. And apparently he's just not that guy. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.